Larry Summers in the news. I want to talk about Larry Summers. I just got some of my subscribers emailing me. Apparently Larry Summers was on CNBC. I watched the interview, and he also put there was a column in the Washington Post where he attacked MMT. Here we go again. Maligned MMT, I have to say, and again with very ridiculous arguments. We saw this last week with Jerome Powell, remember? Oh, that's just wrong, Powell. That was his big, that was his big dismissal of MMT. No facts, no explanation. That's just wrong. That stuff is just wrong. So you see these guys are just coming from a position of monumental arrogance. Anyway, Larry Summers, so he went on to say a number of things which were totally misleading and false about MMT. For starters, he claims that MMT suggests or claims that countries don't have to pay their debts, which MMT never said that. Never says that. That's a ridiculous statement. He said that, well, look at what happened to Latin America. He uses this comparison. Look at what happened to Latin American countries when they printed all that money. Again, completely leaving out the distinction that these Latin American countries that he was talking about, all of them had debts denominated in foreign currency. That does not apply to the United States situation. And MMT is very explicit on that. If your debts are denominated in someone else's currency, you are a currency user, not a currency issuer. And yes, you can become involuntarily insolvent. That does not apply. That is an inapplicable argument as it relates to the United States. He also said that MMT claims that the government can spend without cost. Never says that. MMT never said that. MMT stipulates that there is always a cost, but that cost is in real terms. Real terms, meaning that cost is in your availability of resources. It's in your availability of labor and manpower. It's in your availability of brain power, innovation. It's in your availability of infrastructure, that sort of stuff. There is always a cost. And by the way, the real cost, the cost in real terms, is the most significant cost. We argue that there's not a financial cost because the government just spends by crediting bank accounts. It's a keystroke on a computer. But yes, there is a constraint. There is a cost in real terms. Absolutely. So that's libel. That's slander. I mean, that's just a total mischaracterization of what MMT says. And then he uses other examples like the Latin American example. He said, oh, remember France in the 1980s under Mitterrand? Well, guess what? In the 1980s, France was part of the ERM, the exchange rate mechanism. That was a regime of fixed exchange rates between the countries in Europe. Never says anything about that. So these countries, like France, didn't have an autonomous fiscal policy. If they spent too much, it could put pressure on the French franc, which it did, and it would start to move out that exchange rate band, and they would have to bring it back in. So they were constrained. All of those countries were. The United States is not on a fixed exchange rate, nor is it on a gold standard any longer. So I mean, these kind of things, these are just very, very easy things to debunk. He throws them out there. Casual observers, people who don't understand these things, they're going to listen to this guy and think, oh yeah, Latin America, look at what happened. Oh, look at what happened in France. These are inapplicable comparisons. I don't know if he's doing that on purpose. I mean, the guy must be smart enough to know the distinction there, but he just conveniently leaves them out. That's what all these people do. All right, their brand of economics, right? Let's face it. I mean, MMT has gone viral. Their brand of economics, which has been a total disaster, has come under attack. It's laughable. These guys are calling MMT the voodoo economics. I mean, it's their brand of economics that is the true voodoo economics. Everything blew up under these guys. Everything blew up under these guys. And the only explanation or the only thing they can say is, well, we got to keep on doing it because eventually it's going to work. That is the classic definition, Einstein's definition of insanity, right? You keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. So these guys now, remember I talked about the Gandhi's famous quote, first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you. Well, now it looks like, I mean, MMT has gone viral so quickly, it looks like now we're in the now they're fighting you phase, and then after that it's now you win. So there you go. Bye-bye.